our next act, ladies and gentlemen? Come on, let's do a little bit more live than that. Are we ready for our next act, ladies and gentlemen? Please welcome to the stage the awesome, the amazing Royston Pritchard, ladies and gentlemen.
How you doing, everyone? You all well? Me not so great. In fact, I'm lucky to be here. I spent a week in hospital. Anyone been in hospital lately? I'm not talking about the posh hospitals that you lot don't do. I'm talking about the NHS. Places for me. I'm making you ties. So the trouble with NHS hospitals is there's more beds in the corridor than there is in the walls. And there's nothing like someone puking up in one of them polystyrene bowls to turn you into art critic. You know the art I'm talking about, don't you? That community shit that they put along the walls. You know, like the masterpieces. Things like The Misunderstood Pigeon by Dave, Bricklayer, Dagnall. Or Crack Pipe at Dawn by Tracy, sex worker, Basildon. Particular favourite of mine, Playing with Fire by Ash, deceased. See, I'm walking down the corridor, and this is how we walk in Essex, like I've got a stone in my shirt. And I was thinking to myself, there's a lot of people these days suffer from OCD, or some sort of fuckingism. Me? I suffer from ODC, open door curiosity. I can't walk past an open door without a little meerkat. And the only thing that's going to be anything nice is, as long as there's going to be two stunners having a pillow fight, what I got was an 85-year-old having a bed bath. Oh. That's when I knew I had to throw in the towel. Little Christmas cracker joke for you. I guess up in the reception, now take my advice. Never ever read the health posters that they put up on the wall. Because you'll fucking come out of there with more than you come in with. On my last visit, I was convinced I had shingles, sepsis, and vaginal dryness. I got chatting to an old dear while I was waiting. And she said to me, she said, "Dear, it took me and my husband 2 buses to get here. And depending on the treatment, we might have to go home in an ambulance." I was like, "Oh, fucking hell, babe." I was like, "Well, I hope everything goes all right." She was like, "Well, fingers crossed, dear. I hate them fucking buses." All of a sudden, my name gets called. I looks up, and the doctor is a unit. Like Jason Momoa, being a white coat. Don't know what come over me. My old heart starts pounding, goes bright red. I mean, I'm not gay, but I was having some doubts. I get into the room, he says to me, "Mr. Pritchard, if you'd like to sit on the bed, take your top off, we'll sticker you up, we'll get to the bottom of things." So if I start tensing, try and look a bit tense. That was impressive. Well, I knew I'd overdone it when the old vein started popping out of your head and he pulled the emergency cord and called for a defibrillator. That fucking stunt cost me a stretch in the cardiac ward. I called it a stretch because it weren't much different than the prison. It was easier to get in than it was to get out. No shortage of drugs. And there's always that one fella that thinks he knows everything. That fella, old man George in the bed next to me. Old George, he had a smile that could light up the room. Not because he's dental wealth, because he kept leaving his teeth in his pocket and I going with a wash every night. Probably explained his meadow fresh breath and the foaming at the mouth. But poor old George, he was the eyes and the ears of the ward. He'd say things to me like, "Boy, see that fella over there? I've been watching him all day and he ain't lifted a finger. Lazy bastard." "Oh, George, poor fucker just had a stroke." He's like, all right. "Well, what about Bob? Bob's changed." I'm like, "Well, go on." He's like, "Well, ever since he's had his hair done, he's now saying save the whales, just stop oil, and Donald Trump." I knew that blue hair was a bad idea. But I did like the way he used to get his sayings from old George. Like he'd say to me, like, watch her. if it ain't tied down, she'll whip it away. I think she's one of them klepto-lunatics. I didn't have the heart to tell me it was kleptomaniac, or the fact that the bird was a cleaner. Or he'd say to me, when he would all the way through conversations, he'd say things to me like, well boy, come on, it's not rocket surgery. Or, come on now, it's no skin off my back. Particular favourite of mine though was, boy, well I guess that's how the apple crumbles. Now please, don't get me wrong, I ain't knocking old George. I mean, I think he was with it, I don't think he was losing the plot. He could name every nurse that won Nurse of the Week. And how the fuck do they win that? No deaths on shift? I mean, surely that's got to be a minimum. I ain't killed no one this week. I didn't get no fucking award. So the nurses could see I was getting a little bit aggy. And they said to me, I'll tell you what, Mr. Pritchard, why don't you go down the canteen, get yourself something to eat, get off the ward. I was like, alright. So to cheer myself up, I took a little detour past the STI clinic. Jackpot. I only spot someone I know, didn't I? Acting all shifty with their baseball cap, dark glasses, fake moustache. I was like, hello, Auntie Sue. Love the tash. She was like, no, Royce, no. I ain't been cheating, I ain't been playing away. I caught something from a second-hand vibrator. Second-hand vibrator? Nobody's buying that. I get back to the ward, and the doctor say to me, Mr. Pritchard, if you wear one of them 24-hour heart monitors, we'll give you early release. A little bit like a geriatrics version of being on tag. As I'm walking out, I see the nurse on the ward, floods of tears. I'm like, you alright, mate? What's happened? She's like, oh no, it's not good. Poor old went now. She's had a heart attack, died. I was like, oh babe, I said, that's terrible news. Was you close? She went, no. That bitch knew I was getting Nurse of the Week. So I get some. Missy says to me, where you been? That was the longest quick test I've ever done. I was like, oh babe, look, I don't want to talk about it. Shall I tell you what? Cheer you up. Why don't we go upstairs? Have a snuggle. Take your mind off things. I was like, lovely. I ain't got a white coat, have you? So like I say, being married, it was done and dusted within 2 minutes. Then I looked down and noticed I've got the arm monitor on, don't I? Now that performance ain't going to impress old Dr. Momoa. So I panicked and done the only thing any self-respecting fella would do in this situation. I hit the deck and done 20 minutes worth of press-ups. That'd fall him. Probably could have done 25. But I didn't want to come across as a sex pest. Well, yesterday goes down there to get the results. Turns out, the OR getting plenty of oxygen. Rhythm slightly off, but it was Robbie Viagra. Still got the chest pains, but the old woman's never been happier. Well, I guess that's how the apple crumbles. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Roy Pritchard. Thank you very much.
Royston Pritchard, ladies and gentlemen.